Good evening. We're going to call the June 17th meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. If we could have a roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Yes.
Here. Here.
Thank you. We are going to begin tonight's meeting with an invocation by Commissioner David Merker, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which I'll lead us, if you'll please rise.
June 21st is summer. Summer is the breeze blowing through the grass in June. It is running carelessly through the meadows. It is taking off your shoes and feeling the grass tinkle your toes. It is sitting on the porch at night, sipping lemonade. Summer is the fireworks in July. It is going swimming at the pool with your closest friends. It is feeling nothing but best and happiness. It is the times you do not want to forget. Summer is walking through the sand in August. It is the memories you have forever. It is what you never want to end. It is always what you look forward to in winter. Summer ends, September begins. Back to school. Back to cold weather. Back to wishing it was summer. And let's always remember that summer is, and summer was, and summer will always be a time of feelings from the heart, a time to fall in love, and a time we just love being with one another. It's called summer.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go to agenda approval. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Second.
A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Show the motion unanimous. Next will be informational items by members of the City Commission. Tonight I'll start with Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Oh, well,
This might be, I told you.
yeah. I'll pass.
Oh, you sure? I can come back.
Come
if you want me
back,
to start
yeah.
there. All right, we'll go down there and start with Commissioner McCray. Give him a chance to get his act together.
Good afternoon. I wasn't invited. I was invited. I went to Sunday afternoon. I went to a gospel singing at the St. John Missionary Baptist Church here in our community, and we was paused to have Commissioner Merker to join us. And I will have all of you all know that Commissioner Merker did not sing. He did not dance. And, you know, I wish I could bring the gospel thing in here tonight because that was the first time I've ever known Commissioner Merker to be lost for words, except he to me saying, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. I said, that's what it's all about. I'm glad, Commissioner Merker, that you made it to the sing-a-thon. Some of your views have been changed, and that's what it's all about. I'm glad to be called your friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Merker.
To extend on the evening, Saturday evening, first of all, I was sitting in between former Mayor Woodrow Hay, and on the other side of me was Commissioner Mac McCray. Just as I'm somewhat silent in my words or presentation now, it struck me, it hit me. It was a feeling of togetherness when I walked away that evening. I truly enjoyed the camaraderie of Mayor Hay and Commissioner, I just forgot your name, McCray.
Most friends do.
I will go back next year, and I enjoyed it, and it's a learning curve. And to me, the enjoyment of being up here for all of you is the learning curve that I have, wanting to learn more and understand all the people who live in Boynton Beach. And I thank you very much for helping me out that evening.
Mr. Costello?
It's not too much.
Vice Mayor, I apologize.
Most of us attended the Taste of Boynton put on by our Chamber of Commerce down at Benito's restaurant down on Federal Highway. It was a great night again. It's my second one that I've attended. And I found a little secret how to really enjoy this kind of venue is that our former mayor, Woodrow Hay, was there. And he is a connoisseur of the food tasting tables. And it's all you need to do. I look at him as my mentor when I first got here, and I'll tell you, he taught me a lot about food tasting. And it was a joy to follow him around. Thank you. Also on the coming up this weekend, I believe it is, the 22nd, the Boynton Fire Department's having its annual picnic at the Intercoastal. I encourage everyone to show. I think it's 11 to 6. Chief Carter, Johnny McMahon, they put on a great venue down there, and it's a good time had by all. And just a observation, I'd like to give a shout out to Jeff Livergood and our Public Works staff out there. It's, don't look surprised, Jeff. It's coming down Boynton Beach Blvd. There's a tremendous, tremendous improvement on those medians. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
All right, I'm better prepared. Since the last commission meeting, the most important thing, I think, was we went to the June 6th D-Day unveiling of the new monument at Veterans Park. And then on June, there was 2 veterans there but most of the veterans of D-Day were up at the National D-Day Memorial. And so on Monday night, I went to the American Legion veterans meeting, and afterwards I talked to Stuart Preston, who was able to give me a firsthand recounting of what a buzz bomb sounds like, and has actually seen Me-262 jets in combat. So that was something I'll remember a long time. And then on we had the CRA meeting on the 10th, and on the 11th, I went to the small business breakfast. And that's a combination between the Chamber of Commerce, the CRA, and the city. And Kelly Smallridge and many others spoke there, and it was educational. And then I went to the Taste of Boynton, and that's about it.
Okay. While we're at it, I'll also want to thank Jeff Livergood. I noticed the dead palm tree on Federal Highway has been removed. Thank you so much. Great. And I also attended the Taste of Boynton for the Chamber's event, and they had 22 food vendors at that event, which I think was remarkable. I think they can hold 30, so I think next year they're shooting for 30, but they had 22, and you just couldn't eat all the food. It was incredible. A really nice event, so I think the Chamber should have done well. Anybody, anything else? No? Okay.
Woodrow and I tried to eat all the food.
Okay, we'll now go to a post-legislative update by District 89 Representative Bill Hager. We're pleased to have Mr. Hager here with us this evening. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. Great to be with you. Great to be with America's gateway to the Gulf Stream. So happy to be with you. My name is Bill Hager. I represent House District 89. House District 89 starts at the Broward Palm Beach County line in Boca Raton, hugs the ocean and all of the ocean communities, all the way up to West Palm Beach, picks up the town of Palm Beach, and then further on into Singer Island. So that is the district. I've just completed 4 years representing that district. In terms of an update as it relates to the legislature, and again, I spent 7 years on the City Council of Boca Raton, so my pledge is, most importantly here, to keep this short. So here it is. The governing values that come to bear on the legislature, and from which you can predict 90% of the legislation, is pretty straightforward. It's the bedrock of America. Low taxes, less government, personal responsibility, balanced budgets, just like this chamber, private sector growth, and individual liberties. In terms of the budget, the most recent budget year, we had the highest level of revenue ever as Florida's economy starts to pick up steam. And I'm pleased to say that we were able to fund education, K through 12, at the highest levels ever in the history of this state. And just because there's a lot of goofy numbers often thrown around about K through 12 funding, let me provide those numbers for you. This is per capita across some specific years. 1990, the per capita on a dollar basis was $4,400. 1994, $4,300. 1998, $4,800. 2005, about $6,100. 2012, about $6,400. 2014, $7,000. That does not include capital funding, which runs another $3,000 to $4,000 on a per capita basis. In terms of our state colleges, they continue to do well. You know, a young adult who can figure out how to set aside $10 a day, $10 a day, can graduate from Palm Beach State College, about 5 miles from here, with zero debt. And that's because the tuition at Palm Beach State College is $3,300 a year. So a young adult who can find somebody's couch, hustle a little bit, can graduate with powerful degrees that are highly employable for $3,300. That's probably among the lowest in the United States. Our state universities do just as well. Florida Atlantic University, one of 13 of our state universities, the tuition is $5,200 per year, which again, and that's true of University of Florida, Florida State. So state of Florida has done well on that. Our state universities, University of Florida ranks 14th in the nation as a public university, Florida State 40th. We continue to focus as a legislature, as we ought, on the economy because we want every one of the 20 million residents of this state who are desirous of working to have access to a job. Here's what we've done along those lines. We've repealed 3,000 job-killing regulations. Unemployment has dropped in the state from 11.2% to 6.2%, which is the second largest drop in the United States. Florida's economy today is the fastest growing economy as a state in the United States. It's been about 600,000 jobs created since 2010. We put $1 billion in our ports, including the Port of Palm Beach, with the doubling of the size of the Panama Canal. Huge freighters are coming through, and they're going to have access to enhanced facilities in this state. From a tax standpoint, taxes are the key. They're the key to attracting, retaining business, along with a great educational system. Our K through 12 system, despite goofy things you hear, is ranked 6th in the United States from a tax standpoint. Florida is the 5th lowest tax state in the United States. We have no personal income tax. We've removed business tax from 70% of our businesses. And we're doing this for a particular reason. And for that reason, I give you the poster child of California. 6 weeks ago, Toyota, lock, stock, and barrel, bailed out of California, locked up the factory, left. And they left because of onerous regulation, abusive regulation, a state that punishes success, a state that punishes entities that serve well. Where did Toyota go? Texas. Texas, which has zero personal income tax and no business tax and an open environment, because they're committed to creating jobs for their people, as all governments, one would think, would be doing. There is a movement in this nation, and we intend here in Florida to continue to capture that movement, and the movement is away from, out of high-tax states and into low-tax states. And here's the litmus test on that. With the congressional redistricting in 2010, Florida gained 2 seats. Where did we take those seats from? New York. Texas. You heard me describe Texas. We're number 2 right behind Texas. Texas gained 4 seats. Where did those seats come out of? They came out of the Northeast. So there is a march as individuals, as business, understand the impact of business environments and of taxes. In terms of legislation, I've worked hard on sober homes. That bill passed unanimously through the Florida House. Not as much success on the Senate side. I will go back at it as my first bill if I'm lucky enough to be re-elected. I also worked on e-cigarettes to assure local control of e-cigarettes because I want those out of the hands of children, out of the hands of people that ought rightfully not be enticed to smoke. Mayor and Vice Mayor, Commissioners, that's a very brief report. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hager, yes, you had a question?
Yes, I'd like to comment what I commented to both Representative Berman and Representative Powell. I'm hoping that you're in favor of and will continue to support aid into the state for Medicaid. I think it's disgraceful that it's been shot down. The senior population in Florida is that great, and I think it has to be continuously addressed.
Yep, agree.
Thank you.
I just want to say for Representative Hager, we've known each other for a long time, and he's always been open to the concerns of Boynton Beach. He's only a phone call away, or if I'm in Tallahassee, it's easy to get into his office. He listens to us, and he knows that we are concerns, and he fights for them. And I know he's up for re-election, so I want to ask you all, it's good to have a friend in Tallahassee for our city when we're working for things. So remember the name when it comes up, Bill Hager. Thank you for sharing your time with us tonight.
Boynton Beach is on the rise, and I'm going to do everything in my power to work with you in that way.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mayor.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up there.
Sorry. Well, I take exception to the thing about somebody could save 10 hours a day and then they'd be able to go to school, because if they're at the minimum wage, if you're working 8 hours, that's only like $65 a day. So that's basically, you're telling somebody that's making $65 a day, you got to save 15% of your income for education. I don't think that's practical. And then the other thing, I just looked up on, you're saying this is the highest funding we've ever had for education, but that wasn't corrected for inflation. If you correct for inflation, 1990, 4,400, according to my handy-dandy inflation calculator, comes out today's spending to equal the spending in 1990, and inflation corrected dollars needs to be over $8,000. So I don't see as anything what you're bragging about is anything to brag about.
I'm not bragging, Commissioner. I'm reporting the facts. Those are the facts. And I didn't say 10 hours of work. I said somebody that can set aside $10 a day can, in fact, graduate from Palm Beach State College debt-free. That's because the math on that, $10 a day is $3,650. The tuition there is about $3,300.
And I'm saying somebody works 40 hours a week at minimum wage, that's 15% of their income, and I don't think that's practical.
Well, there's any number of people in this room that have worked, I'm sure, minimum wage and have successfully moved forward. I'm not here. You need to call your congresswoman, congressman on the minimum wage. That's a federal issue. I'm simply here with the numbers. These are accurate numbers. These are fair numbers.
So you would support an increase in the minimum wage?
That's not an issue for me, and I'm
Okay.
Sure.
Mr. Casello?
I'd just like to thank you for your hard work on this, on the work on the sober homes and trying to get
Thanks.
that passed. I know you and Senator Clemens have worked very hard on that, and hopefully at the next session that your colleagues will agree with you and get this passed, because we definitely need some kind of regulation on these homes. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I'm very familiar with that issue. I spent, as I indicated, 7 years on the City Council of Boca Raton. We mud wrestled with that issue starting about 2004. So I'm familiar with it and all of its attributes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Representative Hager, we appreciate your report. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Okay, moving on, we'll go to an announcement about the 4th of July festivities. I guess Wally Majors will give us that report.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. I'm here to announce that, again, we're hosting our July 4th festivities at Intracoastal Park. We are very happy to announce that this year we're adding additional food vendors. We're going to have extended entertainment hours. As some of you remember, after the fireworks last year, it was quite challenging for some people to get out of the park. So we felt that if we added entertainment after the fireworks, that may alleviate some of those issues that we had last year. So consequently, we're asking the band JJ and the Connection to play another set after the fireworks. We've added an additional bus to our shuttle service.
Let the record show that Commissioner Merkers left the dais.
No problem, sir. And again, we added an additional bus for our shuttle service so we can alleviate some of the lines that we had last year trying to get back to the some of our shuttle parking areas, which again will be Boynton Beach High School and the City Hall parking lot. Parking will definitely be limited at the park, but again, we anticipate a great event again this year. The fireworks begin at 9. The event itself starts at 6. We have many more children and family activities, and should be a very fun event.
Thank you very much. Any
welcome,
questions? Okay, I guess the next one you're going to do too is the ball and chain basketball skills challenge.
That's part of our Play Unplugged series that we've been hosting every month at various parks. Again, this is a free event. This will be held at the Hester Center basketball courts on the outside. It's a basketball-related skills challenge. It's meant for couples. Registration begins at 8:45. The event starts at 9. So any basketball enthusiasts out there with a friend, a partner, a loved one that would like to join the festivities, again, it's just the emphasis is fun, action, family-oriented, and we look forward to having you out there again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Questions? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have
wait,
one.
One more. We do have one.
Thank you. I'm kind of baffled by the word ball and chain. Can you explain to me? This is something new to me.
Who's the ball and who's the chain?
Yeah.
Our staff is trying to be creative to capture people's imagination and interest in the event. I think the intent is simply to make it a fun atmosphere. So there's no specific reference to anything out there other than getting people's attention, getting them to come to the event. It could be male or female, depending on who the chain is and the relationship you're in. But again, it's not meant to be derogatory towards anybody.
Well, thank you. You got my attention. Ball
Yes,
and
sir.
chain. Okay, thank you.
Okay. If Miss Rhonda Rogers would join me down at the podium, I have a proclamation to present. Whereas a wide array of public agencies, nonprofit organizations, schools, universities, museums, libraries, and summer camps across the country will celebrate National Summer Learning Day on June 20th, 2014. Whereas Prime Time Palm Beach County, Inc., in support of its mission to foster high-quality in out-of-school time programs which provide opportunities for children and youth to succeed in recognition of the importance of high-quality summer learning programs, will celebrate annual National Summer Learning Day on June 20th, 2014. Whereas many school children lose about 2 months of grade-level equivalency in reading and mathematical skills during the summer months, with a higher impact on children of low-income families. Whereas summer learning programs offer children structured activities and balanced meals in support of their overall health. Whereas Summer Learning Day is designed to highlight the need for more young people to be engaged in learning activities over the summer and to support local summer programs that benefit children, families, and communities. Whereas summer learning programs have been proven to have a meaningful impact on the education, health, and safety of children. And whereas Palm Beach County is proud to join with the National Summer Learning Association and our national partners in promoting summer learning activities for the children and youth of our community. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Taylor, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do recognize the week of June 20th, 2014 as National Summer Learning Day in the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, and do commend this observance to all of our citizens. A witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida to be affixed at Boynton Beach, Florida, the 17th day of June, 2014. We thank you for your work, and if you'd like to say a few words, we'd love to have you here from you.
Just briefly, I'd like to thank the City of Boynton Beach for presenting us with this proclamation. I have with me tonight our Executive Director, Suzette Harvey. She's the Executive Director of Primetime Palm Beach County, and Mary Swinthord, who is our Community Engagement Manager. As we know, at Primetime Palm Beach County, we're an after-school intermediary. We serve as a connector right here in Boynton Beach. We're housed in the Children's Service Council building, and this is very important for us because we keep kids safe all the time, but this is important during the summertime that they actually do learn something. So it's important for us to keep the learning going so that our low-income children and other children do not fall back and have problems when they start school again in August. So this is very important to us. We're having a celebration at our building on Thursday at 3 p.m., a reception for National Summer Learning Day. So if anyone is available, please do come out and join us at 3 o'clock. And we thank you again for this proclamation.
Thank you very much. Just so if you want more information on that, they're at the Children's Service Council building on Gateway Boulevard. And they'd be glad if you want to drop in and find out more about the program, I'm sure. Thank you very much. Okay, that takes us to the announcement that Galaxy E3 Elementary School was featured in the National Geographic hit series Fish Tank Kings. And I'm going to ask our publicist, our city publicist, Eleanor Crisell, to give us a few words and kick it off.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Eleanor Crisell, Communications Manager for the city. The city and collaborative partner marketing teams have been working very hard this year to secure positive coverage for the city. And there are times, unexpectedly, that national press just appears at our doors. And we have been fortunate to have this happen to us several times in the past month. So over the next few months, we'd like to highlight a few of those initiatives. And tonight, we're happy to highlight one that appeared in National Geographic hit series Fish Tank Kings. This is especially timely because the city is starting to form a education initiative committee to work with the Business Development Board, who has also started one, and with our purpose of reaching out to our schools as well as being a liaison as well as promoting them. So this came at an opportune time for us. Before we show the clip, I think it's very important to note that National Geographic Channel is available to 143 countries, seen by more than 160 million homes in 25 languages. In addition, the clip is on nationalgeographic.com, which reaches 26.5 million unique visitors globally. So that's a cue in our feather.
Francis and I are heading to Galaxy Elementary School. We heard about the amazing things going on in this school.
You can turn it up for us,
it'd
be great.
Something great for them. So we're donating a custom tank.
We want to make sure that children walk away from Galaxy E3 saying, wow, I had an awesome education. This is our school. It's high-tech, state-of-the-art. What can you do that's going to be high-tech, state-of-the-art for our school?
Building a cool tank is not enough. We need to foster an appreciation for marine biology.
I got my first aquarium in elementary school, and it changed my life. I'm hopeful that some of you are going to be as inspired as I am to pursue marine biology.
Can we have some sharks?
You want a big shark?
Yes.
You're gonna feed them fish like this. Or any other ideas?
Mermaids?
Mermaids. I haven't seen a mermaid yet, have you? How much time do you spend at the ocean?
A little. I haven't been to the ocean.
You haven't been to the ocean?
No.
We gotta change that. Awesome.
Hands-on experience is the best way to get kids excited about science. So I'm going to take them with me to collect the animals. There are going to be a lot of busy little fingers in that touch tank, so we need to find hardy animals that can handle the attention. It could be disastrous if this isn't done right. The kids take the first pass with a net.
You're doing it.
Keep walking. All right, check this out. You guys know what this is?
Starfish.
It's similar to a starfish. It's called a brittle star, actually. It's a type of echinoderm.
What is this?
This is another type of echinoderm. It's a sea urchin. All right, guys, we've caught a lot of fish with the beach seine, but we're still looking for the special animal that I want. We need the captain of this invertebrate team, the juggernaut of the touch tank, the horseshoe crab. I know when these kids see a horseshoe crab, they'll be truly amazed. Let's go, one last shot. Guys, I got something. Oh my God, look. I got the baby horseshoe crabs. Come on, take a look, guys.
We keep one. Are we gonna put them in our aquarium?
Yeah, this is exactly what we want for your aquarium. horseshoe crabs have survived everything this planet could throw at them, from asteroids to ice ages. Exactly what we need for Galaxy.
Isn't that great?
Well, I just want to say that if you have not been to Galaxy and seen that aquarium that was donated by National Geographic, it's incredible. It's in the hall there, and it's just fascinating what they've done and what the kids get out of that. So if you want to drop by and talk to the principal, I'm sure he'd be glad to show it off to you. It is really fascinating. It was all donated by National Geographic. So we thank you so much. Good. Okay, we now go to public audience. Anybody in the public would like to address the commission on items not on the agenda may do so at this time. We ask you come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and try to make your comments in 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
as
sir.
they're coming forward, we did not do our branding promise this afternoon, and it did not bother me.
We took that off.
But hold on. But I was glad to see that the plaques on the wall, the 3 that's back there, we did not make mention of those, but the one to our far right, that is the one that governed the commission that sits in this chamber, and I went back there and read it, and I do hope that everybody else, when we pass by that, we will read that, because that is us. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Appreciate it. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Giovanni Caliendo, and I lived in Boynton over 40 years. In fact, our first home was just down the street, which later became a studio.
Your
My wife
address?
and I.
Your address, sir?
916 Southeast 1st Street.
Thank
yes.
you.
And about 10 months ago, I was cited by the code officer that a few boards, the Florida holly had to be trimmed. And sure enough, we went ahead and did it. But apparently it was not good enough. And so extension, we did it again. And since I really physically cannot do it, my neighbors volunteered. At their expense, they came in and they did all the work. Again, it didn't pass. This is 7 months. I decided to talk to Mr. Fitzpatrick. Good, he's one of the good guys, by the way. And sure enough, he said, and I said, I talked with the idea, if this goes on, I'm going to talk to the mayor. And I did. I spoke to you. And you said, I will look into it. A week went by, nothing happened. 2 weeks went by, I finally called you again. You said, who are you? And I said, I'm the guy who called you, that the codes now I'm going to be fined because they're doing things beyond what they wanted to do in the first place. They keep changing the goal. Well, sure enough, you said, I will talk to the city manager. Well, the city manager apparently never returned my call. 3 of the assistants did. And the last one really got upset. And at the time, I was in the hospital with my wife in the hallway. And she was saying, the assistant now, you got to comply or else. And that was it. So then I decided to go chain of command, like in the Army. I went to the state representative. And sure enough, Irina Sass called me back. And she was appalled about what happened. She took it upon herself to help me. I cried. You know why? Because finally someone was helping me. And that's where we were. She came in, she looked, and she says, Giovanni, I can help you. We can see what we can do. And then she got in touch with our wonderful Vice Mayor, Joe Casello, and he volunteered. And son of a gun, he got the police cadet to volunteer. I think it was a dozen. And they showed up, and they cleaned everything. I mean, it was like somebody went there with a vacuum cleaner and cleaned everything up. Sure enough, the officer came by, failed again. We were flabbergasted. It was in the newspaper, all the work that they did. Flabbergasted. So there's something wrong with this picture. And I wonder if any of you, and I would like to meet individually, all of you together, and I would like to change the laws. Tomorrow is D-Day. It's going to come in front of the board again. So if you can help, like everybody else did, please give a call, find out, because otherwise somebody either is not incompetent or there's absolutely a person who wants to flash the power to those who can least afford it, which is me and many, many other people in the city. We're all broke, just like the city was. And little by little, we're going to get out of this. But you guys have to help. And if you don't help, I don't care how many skyscrapers you have down by the dock, you will never be a city that people will be proud of. Thank you.
What were you failed for last time? What's the problem now?
I don't know, because every time they go in, first they started, okay, change this board. Okay, my neighbor changed the board. Comes back 10 days later, no, we meant for you to take the whole fence down. What do you mean? So the last time that they did the inspection, this is after Joe was there, I mean, they cleaned everything. He was taking pictures of a clump of grass. You say, see, he didn't cut the grass. I have pictures if you have the time, which I know you don't. But I can show you the pictures before and after. We even painted the building. Even the building, when originally all they wanted was to paint the trim and a little bit of trim where the tiles fed off. It was raw cement. And we did that. He came back again 2 weeks later, and he said, no, this is not good enough. I mean...
Okay, I did follow the story in the paper and all. We will follow up and see what's going on there.
It has to be in writing. When to sit down and they do the inspection, detail. Just like a policeman goes into the detail and said, this guy did this, the left side fender, blah, 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 blah. You cannot just put down, cut the grass. Remove tree. What tree? And
yeah, I agree.
I would like very much to be there present. And from now on, I want to. I'm retired. I'm going to be 70. And by the time I die, for once in Boynton Beach is going to be the city that I loved 45 years ago.
Yeah, they should give it all to you at one time. You're not one piecemeal. So we'll
no, they keep changing.
We'll back up on it.
They keep changing it.
We'll find out
That's
what's going on.
That's the problem.
Okay.
And tomorrow's the day. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
Right.
Yeah.
I will call you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
You know, in regards to that, I like, for the city manager, if you can get me that code officer name, please, and give me some follow-up, because I'm getting complaints about code officers as well here in this city.
Very
We'll
good.
provide a full report
Thank
to
you.
the commission on
Thank
this
you.
case. This case has been
We'd like to know.
around for a couple
Okay.
years, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I have a personal interest in this. I was there. We, along with the volunteer, the police cadets, they did a great job. It was a lot of hard work. We filled up a 20-yard dumpster to the brim. I think there's some legitimacy in the argument that the gentleman's making. I think that there has to be a little bit gray area when you're inspections. Not everything's black and white. Not everything is going to be pristine. And I can tell you, from the morning that when we showed up to that evening that we left, that property was improved 110%. So there has to be some gray area, some leeway, and things documented, and not, because we can continue to go back and nitpick every little thing that's not perfect, or pristine. And we can do that all day long and make people's lives miserable. The object of a code department is to get people in compliance. And in my unprofessional opinion, when we left that property that day, we were in compliance. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Mike Watson, 2634 Southwest 7th Street in Boynton Beach. And we just want to make an announcement that our South Florida Gold professional basketball team will be having tryouts this week on June 21st and 22nd at the Boynton Beach High School. And we just want to make it known that, we're here for the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Continue on with that. Also wanted to make the city commission aware that
Your name, sir?
yes, my name is Mark Anoff, and my address is also 2634 Southwest 7th Avenue. Again, Kendrick Mitchell is our head coach. He is an educator here in Boynton Beach. And again, we're having our tryouts. They are closed tryouts, but we would like the people here to stop by, say hello, meet some of the athletes that live here in Boynton Beach. When I was here about a month ago, we had stated that we're going to be driving the economies into the area, and we're doing that. We've got players coming in from all across the country to play for our team or to try out for our team, staying at local hotels and of course, eating in local eateries. Last year, whenever we were having any meetings, we had to go down to wherever the meetings were being held. This year, people were coming up to us. Also, one last thing that we'd like to announce to the community that this year, ESPN will be carrying the South Florida Gold and the ABA games. So we're making a lot of strides. We're well recognized throughout the basketball community right now, and people just want to come here and play basketball. So we look forward to staying a part of the community, doing a lot of things within the community, charitable and community-based. That's what we really are, and that's what Michael and his family really are all about. So we look forward to being here often and keeping you updated and having some of our players and coaches come in and say hello and introduce themselves to the community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Good evening, Suzanne Ross, Schoolhouse Children's Museum. I just wanted to bring everybody up to date that this week the Schoolhouse Children's Museum has been rocking with the Palm Beach Pops. Monday, Mr. Music brought the brass section, and today he brought the woodwinds. Tomorrow are strings, and Thursday is percussion. It all comes together on Friday at the City Library for a concert, which is free to the public, and we do encourage you all to attend. It is at 9 a.m., bright and early. I have to say it is a real joy to watch these professional musicians engaging with the children. And to see the children marching and dancing and conducting and playing, it's really been quite an extraordinary experience. I also would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity for a shameless plug on the 4th of July VIP party at the Intracoastal Park, which of course is on 4th of July. Enjoy the city's festivities, and for those of you who wish a little air conditioning, can join us in the Intracoastal Park Clubhouse for the event. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the report.
My name is Herb Sutz, 1711 Woodfern, Boynton Beach, citizen. Tonight's a pleasure. Tonight's a pleasure. I'm going to call down, as a citizen, to call down Woodrow Hay, please. Would you mind stepping to the podium? To your direction,
It's
Mayor.
probably all that food he tried out with. Here he comes.
Hey, Woody. All right, tonight's your night. I want to publicly state...
You want to speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to publicly state, normally I give report cards for the commissioners up there. Yours is yet to come. But tonight is a special night because I wanted this to stand out for Woody. Probably one of the best commissioners we have is up there, Bob Ensler. I am putting Woodrow Hay, I gave him a A+. Tonight, I give Woody an A+. As a citizen of Boynton Beach, let me read this document. It's got a gold seal on it, too. See that? Yeah, show everybody. To Woodrow Hay, from a grateful citizen, for being one of the best Boynton Beach City Commissioners and Mayor. Thanks for your service, Herb Suss. And with the, wait a minute. I'm going to pull one out of your book, Mayor. With the power vested in me.
By who?
I present to you this handwritten certificate, and not my wife did it because you wouldn't read it in my handwriting, with a gold seal. Woody, I love you. Mayor, I want to thank you. Like I said, I give out report cards for everybody up there, and probably the end of June or maybe in July, yours is coming. And I could tell you they'll be interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your indulgence. Thank
Take care.
everybody.
Mark Hero, George 248 Main Boulevard. I want to acknowledge somebody that has given 23 years of service to this city and has always been a consummate professional. And I'm talking about Janet Pernito. 23 years of service is commendable, and she has done it for no matter who sat up there. She's always performed it excellently. So I want to say kudos to Janet, and she's got a great team, and you guys need to appreciate that team because they do so much with so little. Also to the wonderful attorney, David Tolsis. David, this gentleman wouldn't have had those problems back when you were the attorney for the Code Board and I was sitting on the Code Board. He wouldn't have had those problems. We didn't have those problems back when you and I were on there. And it'd be nice to go back to those days, but unfortunately they now have the special magistrate and a bunch of different people. So I will leave it there, but David, it's always a pleasure to see you, and the commission is blessed to have your service tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the commission at this time? No? There we go. No? No, guess no one else. Okay. We'll end the public audience then and go to administrative. Appoint eligible members of the community to serve in vacant positions on city advisory boards. Tonight we have several appointments. The Building Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Commissioner Merker, you have an alternate appointment, and Andrew Padre is asking, it's his second choice.
I'd like to table it, please.
Okay. Then we'll go to the Financial Advisory Committee. Commissioner Fitzpatrick, there's a Christine Soelia. She says she's a current member, wants to be reappointed, but you only have an alternate appointment. I don't know if she's an alternate or a regular. Didn't tell me in the backup.
I had the same question. Plus, I didn't see her
She's a regular?
application.
She's
in
a
the
regular.
packet.
Okay, well, we have two people. There's a David Yankovic. You could appoint him as alternate if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay.
I appoint David Yankovic.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? I have a most second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then Casello, you have a regular, and she wants to be
Yeah,
reappointed.
since she's a current member now, I'm just going to make a motion that we reappoint her to that position.
Second.
I have most second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Show the motion unanimous. Recreation and Parks Board, Commissioner Merker, you have an alternate appointment. We have a Nicholas Skarecki who is asking to be appointed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll show the motion is unanimous. And last but not least, the Veterans Advisory Commission. Commissioner Casello, you have an alternate, and a Kenneth Nichols has applied.
I nominate Kenneth Nichols.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Show the motion unanimous. Next piece of business, to accept the resignation. Hey, we got it done in 3 minutes. Accept the
moved, Mr.
resignation of Jeffrey R. Grady, a regular member of the Financial Advisory Committee.
So move.
Is it-
Second.
A most second. All in favor?
Aye.
We thank Mr. Grady for his service. He's moving out of the community. That's why he had to resign. Okay. Would anybody wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? If not, the chair would to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A most second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Show the motion is unanimous. Next is under public hearings. The first one is proposed ordinance number 14009 on first reading. Approve the amendment to the land development regulation modifying minimum floor area ratio for project zone mixed use high. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion is second in discussion.
Sure.
Go.
I read it over, and I'm not really sure what a floor to area ratio is referring to. Floor area ratio.
Can I just read the title of the ordinance? in the
Yes,
record?
please do.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending the land development regulations to modify the minimum floor area ratio, FAR, for projects on mixed-use, high, MUH, providing for conflict severability, codification, and effective date. Matters before you for first reading this evening.
Yes.
Mike Rump, Planning and Zoning Director. I'll do my best to answer that question. I have a visual aid I can hand out as well. FAR is a standard unit of measurement, if you will, for development intensity, whereas residential units are commonly measured by density. That's dwelling units per acre, gives you the density number. Non-residential or combination of residential and non-residential unit buildings, mixed-use projects, often measured by an intensity standard, and that's FAR. There is similar to how there is maximum densities for residential units and projects, there can be maximum, or in this case even minimum, FAR. FAR is floor area, which is total project square footage, over site area. Do the simple math, and you come up with a number.
So if you have a 1 acre site, total floors for the whole thing could be 2 acres and 40,000 plus 40, about 80,000 square feet plus.
Whatever the math comes up to.
So basically, if you have 1 acre, you can build 2 acres worth of flooring. Square footage.
Depends on your FAR.
Yeah, if this is 2.0.
Yeah, we're moving it from 2.5 to 2.0.
So this is lower density, actually.
We are lowering the minimum. Yes, 2.5 to 2.
I have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor Taylor?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Costello?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Next is proposed ordinance 14006.
Mr. Mayor, before you read that, I'd like to motion to remove it from the table, please.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Show the motion unanimous. Thank you. Proposed ordinance number 14006 on first reading, if you'd like to read the title.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 14-006, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, regarding the application of Thomas Hayden of Morgan Boynton Beach, LLC, amending ordinance 02-013 to rezone a parcel of land located on the southwest corner of Ocean Avenue and Federal Highway, extending south to southeast 2nd Avenue and west to southeast 4th Street, as more fully described herein, from mixed-use high MUH 378 multifamily residential and retail to mixed-use high MUH 341 multi-family dwelling units, retail and office, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date. This ordinance before you for first reading this evening, and a public hearing has been scheduled at this time.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
You may have a presentation from the applicant as well as seeing if there's any public hearing, because this is
Public
a
hearing. Is any-
rezoning.
Yeah.
You need
Does
to have a public hearing.
the applicant wish to comment?
We're willing to do a presentation if you wish, or we'll be available for your questions and comment, whatever is the pleasure of your commission.
Anybody in the commission need a presentation?
No, but I'd like to offer the disclosure that I did meet with Ms. Miskell and some of this gentleman that's here that like to do a disclosure.
I'd just like to say that I've met with you in the future, in the past, and this is a great project, and I think that all of us, I can't speak for all the commissioners, but I know for myself, I'm behind this project 110%, and I really like to see it happen, and it looks great. I've been reading the backup material on it. You guys have done a great job with it. You've been patient. I know it's been going back and forth a little bit, and I'm confident that we're going to get this done.
Thank you.
I've met with them in the past, but I think I already revealed that. Go ahead. Did you have something?
I have a question if you're done, yeah.
Go ahead.
The financing hasn't apparently been totally worked out because they're, coming forward to CRA. So
Right.
my question to our legal is it appropriate to do this now, or does it really matter or anything?
I think you're within your authority to consider this now.
Okay.
Yes, Commissioner.
In principle, I am totally in favor of this. Again, the question that was brought up, I think it was Commissioner Fitzpatrick, the financials are everything on what the give and take is. So in principle and what's designed, I'm totally in favor, and I wouldn't move forward.
Thank you.
I think what we're considering here really is the rezoning, which is basically rezoning what was already there.
Yep.
And I think the financial thing really probably should come during site plan and that type of thing, right?
Separately if there is any type of agreement. separate department
Yeah, that'll
on
come.
your site plan.
That'll
But
come.
Ms. Miskell may be able to better explain.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may, because this is a master plan zoning, it requires 2 readings, but you are correct. The MUH is already there. Because we're amending the master plan, we actually have to go through this formality, and it does require 2 readings. The site plan is on for your next meeting and will be on the back side of this, so we'll have an opportunity then to speak to the site plan. And should we just come forward, should we complete the process as it relates to assistance, that would be scheduled for a later date, and that hasn't been worked out, so it's really not appropriate at this point, and we really can't even begin to talk about it till we can get through this process itself.
Okay, good, yeah, because just so you're on, I'm sure there are going to be questions about the financing, so you're aware of that.
As we would
Yeah.
expect, that's correct.
Okay, anybody in the public wish to address this item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casella.
Aye.
Commissioner Marker.
Marker?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
Thank you. Next, there have been a request to table the next item. This is the site plan for that same
Right.
project.
Motion to remove it from the table and retable to July 1st, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a second for that?
Second.
A motion and a second to remove from the table and table it till July 1st. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Show the motion unanimous. Thank you. City Manager's report, information report on the current status of the stormwater program with status information on areas that flooded as requested.
Thank you, Mayor. Our Utility Director, Colin Groff, would like to present an update to the Commission and a brief presentation on our stormwater review.
Colin Groff, Utilities Director. I'm glad y'all have me here to do a little update. We did send you a report, a fairly detailed report, and we put together a little summary for you so we can talk about it tonight. But before we start, I wanted to kind of announce that y'all should have gotten a copy of this on your seat, which is our 2013 Water Quality Report. We take advantage of having to mail this to every customer to use it as a communication tool to get other information out to our customers. So there's a lot of information in there. One of them is on the WaterWise program, which is our conservation program that we use in the schools. And they had, there's a lot of pictures that the kids have drawn that we put in there. So at your convenience, take a look at it. And it's something we're trying to use to get out good information. So with that, y'all asked us to look at the areas that flooded in January, and there is a slide thing here. There we go. In January, I think it was the 9th and the 10th, Boynton Beach experienced about over 20 inches of rain. In some areas, there was 22 to 24 inches of rain, which is a very large event for an area. That would be considered a 1,000-year storm event, and generally, the systems aren't designed for that. So there was some flooding all over the city. What the staff did is we wanted to go out and look at, where did that flooding occur and what caused it. So what the staff did at the time, and I wasn't here, so it was the staff that was here. What they did at the time is they went out and looked at the areas that had structural or hazard flooding. That's the ones we wanted to catch. And what that means is either a structure actually flooded a garage or a house or a business, or there was hazard flooding, meaning it was flooding to the extent that it was dangerous to walk through or to drive through. So those are the areas we concentrated on to log and to look at. And basically, based on that event, what we found was there was areas that were definitely deficient in stormwater. Now, deficient doesn't mean they would drain that amount of rain, but what it did was stress the system so we could find areas that help us find areas that really were deficient and needed some work. So that's kind of a little bit of the background of what we did, of what the staff did. So what they did is they mapped all of those areas, and I know that map's hard to see, and I wish we could make it bigger, but basically we mapped all the areas that flooded, that had structural or hazard flooding in the city, and you can see all the colors on there. The blue colors are the ones that the city is completely responsible for. Those are areas that the city owns all of the drainage system. The green areas, if you can see the green, are areas where the city owns part of it and private entities or other government agencies own the rest of it. So they're shared systems. And the systems in yellow were county-owned systems. And then there's one little area that's up in the corner that's a magenta, I guess is the color. I'm not good at that color, but that's actually a privately owned system. So the city doesn't have any maintenance responsibility to that system. So what staff did is they investigated, they logged it, they mapped those areas, and then we established the ownership of each area, because it is important to know who is responsible for that drainage problem. And they used that to develop a list of projects, which we'll go over. Basically, they found about 20, and I'm saying approximately, it's in your report, about 20 areas that flooded. And out of those, we developed some lists. And the first thing we looked at is, what is the city responsible for that has no drainage? So the first thing we looked at is areas, and again, I can't read it, y'all maybe this information is in your report, but we looked at the areas that did not have any drainage. And that means that it was a neighborhood built, and it didn't have any pipes in the ground or any swales or any way for the water to flow out of the neighborhood. In normal rain events, these haven't been problem areas because the water's been able to perk into the ground, flow off the road, perk into the ground. But in a large event, there's no place for the water to go, so it floods. So we identified those, and all of those now are in the capital budget for improvements. The last one on the bottom, Oak Street, is actually, we decided to do that in-house, some of the work in-house, and that's underway right now, so that project is underway. The first project, North and South Street, that's a project actually already been designed, and it's actually been on hold because of an easement issue, and we're reopening that easement issue, and we're going to look through it and find a way to create an outfall for that neighborhood, and that's really what the problem is. There's no outfall, there's no place for the water to go. So we're going to reopen that. The rest of them are new projects that were identified, and we will be designing the projects for them and constructing infrastructure improvements in those neighborhoods. So I was going to leave it on that if anybody had any questions on any of those projects. I pointed out one of them, the one in yellow is one that's been brought up before, so I just wanted to, that's why I highlighted it. So.
I have a question.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the property that Mrs. Joyce Frazier came down here and spoke about that was draining. That was by the intersection of I-95. Is that on there? 'Cause
Yes, that's Northeast 1st Street corridor south to Gateway. That's that corridor that's next to 95. And that's the one that I've highlighted in yellow. That's one of them we're looking at. That area is an older area, and it does not have any drainage. There is some downstream issues that we have to deal with other agencies. But it is one of the areas that we are going to address with a project.
Okay, you're going to address it, sir, but I need to know because I represent those constituents.
Yes. Meaning we're going to design something and build something to fix the problem.
Yeah, because see, I'm not as young as you. I cannot read all that.
I'm sorry, I can't read it either.
I'm trying to make sure that they come to me, I know what I'm telling them,
Right.
okay?
And these are in the report we gave you also. But yes, that is one of the projects that we've identified that needs some drainage upgrades to make sure it drains during large rain events.
You answered mine, thank you.
Okay. And there was...
Oh, just on this Treasure Island, it has no drainage at all there.
Correct.
Are we going to design a drainage system for that?
Yes, that's another city responsibility, and we will be looking at that. We have some concept plans, ideas of how we can drain that whole area. Actually, I know people don't like to hear this. That's one of the easier ones to engineer because it does have the canals around it to drain too. But yes, that's on the list also. That's the one. The second one from the bottom is that area, and that's also on the list, and that will be addressed also.
As Miss Gillian's over in Ireland right now, when she comes back, I got to answer to her. So
yes, exactly. And the answer is yes, we will be making some improvements to the neighborhood. All right, any other questions on this list? And again, these are all the ones that are the city responsibility that do not have any drainage systems right now in place. The Commissioner.
It's titled Planned Capital Improvements. Is that CIP? Is that the same thing?
Yes, that means it's in the capital improvement program.
Capital improvement.
We've included it in the money in the capital improvement program for the stormwater improvements.
All right.
Any other questions on this list?
Yes, I'm just hearing we're going to do this. We're talking, when are we going to do this?
Yeah, I have a schedule in here.
Okay.
And I will answer that when I get to that.
Thank you.
Because we do have a schedule for these projects. Okay. So with these, I'm going to just kind of go on to the next one. These are systems that are city-owned systems that flooded but have adequate drainage systems. In other words, we went out and we looked at it. We've looked at the drainage systems. They're fine. They're designed properly. They drain properly. But there's other issues there. It flooded. Now, some of them flooded just because it was inundated with water and they couldn't drain that water that fast. Their systems are not designed for a 1,000-year storm event. They're designed for storm events much smaller than that, generally 8 to 10 inches of rain, not 20 inches of rain. But some of the systems drain into downstream systems that may or may not have maintenance issues. And so that's what we're investigating with these. We're going downstream all the way to wherever the open body of water is they drain to and making sure the entire drainage system works. Many of those downstream systems may not be owned by the city. They may be owned by other agencies. They may be owned by private entities. And so we have to coordinate with them on those. So we're going through these. We wanted to list them because we do want to go through them and make sure that there's nothing blocking them. Even with a perfect system during a storm event, you could still get blockages with trees and things. But what we want to do is make sure there's nothing physically in the way to keep these systems from draining. Mr. McCray.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the typing. I'm just saying there's no spaces in between a lot of those headings up there, you know, like describe flooding, no space.
Yeah, I wish I could do really big slides.
I wish you could do some spaces too.
And some spaces. Absolutely, yeah. You know, it looks really good on paper, but when you get back and look at it, when you don't have I don't have my glasses on, I'm having a hard time reading it also. But I have my cheat sheet in front of me, so I can see it here.
Okay, I forgot you're younger than I am. Okay, keep going.
Not much, though. But again, these are listed in your report. Okay. We gave you a list with a lot more detail in your report about each area if you're interested in an individual area. The next slide is another problem where the city may own the piping system in the roads, but the city doesn't own the pond or the stormwater system that the pipes flow to. And so if the pond is not maintained or the system's not being maintained, then we're going to have a little bit of difficulty with flooding because it is going to flood. So some of these, we're going to work with the communities that own these systems and say, you know, these are important for you, even though, yes, the city's responsible for the piping is there and it's being maintained, but we also have to make sure that the system that they're draining to is maintained also. So we are going to have to open up some dialogue with some homeowner associations to help them understand the maintenance that needs to occur on their own systems that they own. And these are a couple that we identified that have that situation. Okay. And the last one are ones that the county either county owns or totally privately owned. And these are ones that Boynton Beach, we cannot make any repairs to. But what we can do is we can work with the county. Two of the big ones are on Seacrest and on Congress from Boynton Beach Boulevard to Hypoluxia, and on Seacrest from Flamingo to Boynton Beach Boulevard. Those are two areas that flood, and they flood more often than not in larger rain events. And so we're going to be working with the county. Those are both county-owned sections. We're going to work with the county, see if we can develop some synergy between us and the county to make some repairs, because they also impact the neighborhoods around those areas, because those areas drain to that road, those main roads. So those are something we have to work with. We can't spend our stormwater money on them, but we can definitely work with the other agencies to develop some solutions. And then again, the private communities that flood, we're going to try to work with them. We're going to try to do some educational. We're going to meet with homeowner associations. We're going to try to talk to them about how do you maintain systems and why it's important. So they do maintain their systems. A lot of the flooding in these private neighborhoods were caused by, there were some maintenance issues that weren't maintained, ponds that were not maintained, outfalls that were not maintained. So that's something that we are going to offer as educational. We can't go in there and do the work, but we can certainly help them understand what the work's required to be done and how it should be done properly to make sure their systems are drained properly. So these are just some of the projects some of the areas we identified that we're going to do that. Schedule. That's what somebody's asking. So most of these are projects that will be designed by our general services engineers. That general services contract is scheduled to be approved July 1st by the board. As soon as that's approved, we will develop the scopes. So July and August, we'll be developing those scopes for those projects. We have concept plans, but we need to work with the engineers to develop their full scopes and get them contracts in place so they can do the design work. We're hoping to finish the design work by the end of this year. That's our goal, is to finish the design work on all of these areas, unless there's an unknown that we're not aware of right now that we may need additional survey work or something like that. But our goal is to finish by the end of this year. And we've looked at the areas. We're pretty confident we can meet that. And then we're going to bid and construct in January through August. Our goal is to really finish them before the end of the budget year next year. Some of them will be sooner. Some of them could delay depending on what we find in the field. We're going to try to get as many finished early as possible. So that's the schedule we're working under right now. But there are some key issues that we need to address, and some of these may come back to the commission for discussion. One of them is these privately owned drainage systems. There's a picture of one up there in the I don't know if this, no, it
That's,
doesn't work.
that's my community, which I'm the HOA president.
Yeah, there you go.
One of
And-
them.
and-
In fact,
right.
you might even see my house up there in the right-hand corner.
And I put that picture in there, and somebody pointed that out. But there is an issue. Now, I don't know we don't know exactly what the issue there is, but this is just an example where we want to go work with the HOAs and help them develop some solutions for that. And it could be some downstream solutions that we can actually help with once we examine the problems.
I think the problem there, in that particular case, was just that the weir gate wasn't open fully, and that pond filled, which backed up through the pipes back to the sewers.
Right.
It worked like it was supposed to work. It's just that we didn't have that weir gate opened.
Right. And sometimes it's as simple as that. It just needs to be opened up when there's a flooding condition. So that's the stuff we want to educate them on.
Is that
and,
your
help
truck
them.
in the picture?
That's my truck floating.
That's
right.
right.
I got blamed for the 22. It was terrible.
I can believe it. The other couple pictures are just sites of these are downstream conveyance systems that are owned by other agencies that we can't maintain, and they're not being maintained properly. So one of the things we need to do as staff is we're going to work with those agencies, with DOT, with the county, and say, we have these things, we've identified them, let's see what we can do to work to maintain these, because what is blocked downstream will cause a flood upstream. Unfortunately, water flows downhill. It always will, unless you add some energy, but it flows downhill. So we're going to work with them and try to see if we can't develop some partnerships with them to help maintain some of these areas. And because they are owned by other agencies. And the last thing, that there may be some issues. There are some regulations coming down that are being proposed that could impact the cost of doing some of this, and we'll stay on top of those. We go to the meetings, we stay on top of them, we add comments when we're allowed to add comments to make sure Boynton Beach is not impacted greatly by some new regulations that could cost us a lot of money. So with that, some conclusions. We are continuing our investigation of all the downstream systems. We're going to go through every downstream system to make sure if there's a root cause of flooding, we'll find it and we'll know what it is so we can list it and take care of it one way or another. We're going to continue developing the plans, and we're going to continue to improve our maintenance. One of the things we're going to do, we have an excellent maintenance program. Unfortunately, it's very small, and so we're going to continue developing that and finding resources that we can put toward maintenance so we can continue doing the maintenance on our system, which is very important because you can have the system, but if it's blocked with sand, it's not going to work. So we want to make sure we're checking them routinely, doing the maintenance, doing the cleaning, doing the TVing, and keeping the systems maintained. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Just I want to say I really appreciate this information because it shows me that you're on top of this and that now we got some answers for our constituents so we can tell them that help is on the way.
Okay,
thank you. So,
and again, there's more detail in the report, and we will keep you up to date. We're going to have some information coming to you fairly routine on these projects so you can keep constituents up to date. And we'll also be posting on our websites and our Facebook site and we're trying to use every media source we can to keep people up to date on the projects we're working on so they know they're not just sitting, because sometimes people don't see action out in the field. They don't know something's happening, but there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that goes on before we can start the project. So,
Vice Mayor.
I'd just like to say thank you. It was a great report, and not only as a commissioner but an HOA president, that this information is much appreciated. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you as well, but when we post them on the website, spaces.
Spaces, absolutely. I've got that. We're gonna work on the spaces.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a few questions. First of all, I was looking at this and I was see there were some big prices there. So money is available for the millions of dollars of project in the next year.
Yes, the CIP that's in place right now that's being proposed now. It's going to the commission when, and again, I'm sorry, I'm new. I'm not sure exactly the dates the budget goes. The final adoption is coming up, but it's in the capital improvement plan for the utilities budget, which you all will adopt when that is. I think that's in August.
Okay.
You hope we will adopt. You hope we will adopt.
Right. Now,
Okay.
we've given you the information, and we have included those projects in the capital program.
So my question about water here, basically it has two places to go, from what I can tell, out the C-16 canal to the intercoastal and percolation. So my question is, if you have 20 inches, what's a percolation rate that would disappear?
It depends on the soils and the area you are. I know that's a general question, but it's very site specific. But it's not going to percolate 20 inches.
I know, but how in 24 hours, how much could something?
Well, in a sandy soil, average rates are 4 to 6 inches an hour where it's not saturated. But once it's saturated, it's 0.
Okay.
So that's what happens in a large rain event. It becomes saturated, or like we have several rain days like we've had today. Over time, the ground gets saturated. There's no place for the water to go, so there's no infiltration into the ground once it gets saturated. It's just like hitting pavement and running off.
So what you're saying, if it's like the water table is like 20 feet down, then it fills up those 20 feet, and then it's zero.
It fills up all the blank areas in that 20 feet, and then it's zero.
This is my Lake Worth Drainage District map, and there's only one outfall, the C-16 canal between north of Lake Worth and Boca, which is, right here on Federal Highway.
Right.
For us. So how much can that take in per hour?
That's a very good question. I can't answer that. We are actually getting ready to do our stormwater master plan update. One of the things we're going to look at is modeling those systems, so we do know what we can take. So right now, I don't think we know the answer. I do know it's a fairly large canal. It'll take a lot of water. But we don't know exactly. We can do some modeling, though, when we do our master plan and be able to tell you a little bit better about how much water in different rain events will run off of the Boynton Beach areas, where it will go, which is that canal. A lot of it goes into that canal, and how much that canal can handle. And that canal is designed for drainage for a lot of areas. So probably not on purpose, but it turned out to be that way. So,
Can you dump directly into canals, or is there you have to be holding places first, or what's the deal?
New construction requires to be treated before it goes into the canal, so you would have to build a treatment pond. That's part of the problems we have, is we have a lot of treatment ponds around, and they need to be maintained, because if they're not maintained, the control structure, that's exactly what happened in the neighborhood. If a control structure is not maintained or not opened up correctly, you could cause flooding upstream from that. Those control structures are there to treat that water before it enters the canal, so that's why they're there.
I haven't taken hydrology yet, so I'm not really sure how a 1,000-year event is determined. I know a little bit about statistics, but my question is, I think, climate change is going on, so what used to be a once-in-a-1,000-year event, it could be a new reality coming out there. And I know you have to, the tables you do and stuff to use to design things is all based on the old reality. And so is there any plan to be a little forward thinking and recalculate what your outfall pipes have to be height wise for sea level rise or something like that?
That's a great question. I'm not sure that's I'm not that smart to do it myself, and I don't think there's anybody in our utility department. That's something that the colleges and universities would take on to do those kind of research, because that's where those tables come from. They come from the research that's done by the research, and then they come down to us. What we do is we always have factors of safety built into our designs and in our calculations. Again, you talk about 25-year storm event. That's generally what we design a lot of our features for, so there's no structural or hazard flooding during a 25-year storm event, which in Boynton Beach is, I'm going to say, an average of 10 inches of rain. There's a little bit of a factor of safety built into that, so it's probably okay for 12 or 13 also. And again, remember too, is it may stack up and cause a little bit of hazard flooding. The other key is how fast it goes back down. So if you have an open system that can drain quickly, it may come up during the event, but as soon as the event stops, it's going to come back down. That's all in the hydraulic modeling that we'll do. To answer your question about that, about the water rise and all that, I think that, yes, that's a huge issue for a lot of people to address, and we're going to use the industry standard numbers that come down. Those are the generally accepted numbers, and that's what we've been. And you're right, the numbers we've been using for years to use those numbers.
Well, that's my concern. Is I think you're doing a great job of pushing this out to get it done. But I'm concerned that in 5 years they'll be like, oops, we should have raised it 6 inches because there's new numbers out there now. And so I'm afraid, what's the design for this, like 30 years or something? That's when you build something, you expect it to last 30 years. Well, I'm concerned if we don't, things are maybe changing quite a bit, and we may only get 5 or 6 years use out of it because of, new numbers.
Yeah, and I wish I could answer that question. I just don't have an answer for that question.
I'd just like to say, from my understanding of the flooding, that I think the building department has been doing a good job. That, to my knowledge, there really weren't any houses that were flooded. There was a lot of car parking areas that were flooded, but the slab heights, were in the code at a proper height, so that there was no real flooding inside, water damage inside houses. There was a couple, but I don't think too many. And, but I just wonder, that's something, again, maybe we should look at, consider raising future house slabs. And I don't know if you care about the cars as much, but, they're still endangered. All right, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to proposed ordinance number 14008 on second reading. Would you like to read the title?
Yes, ordinance 14008, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, approving and adopting the update to the Community Redevelopment Plan, Heart of Boynton Subplan, to incorporate amendments and updates to ensure its relevancy in today's marketplace, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date. This ordinance before you for second reading, and a public hearing has been scheduled at this time.
This is proposed ordinance number 14008 on second reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a motion is second? Any discussion? Anybody in the public wish to address this issue? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mayor Taylor,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Casello,
Aye.
Commissioner Merker,
Yes.
Commissioner McCray.
Like Merker, yes.
No.
Vote is 4-1.
Okay. Proposed ordinance number 14010 on first reading. Title, please.
Yeah, this is ordinance 14-010, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, approving the removal of garage sale permit requirements from the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 13, Article 2, providing for conflict, severability, and effective date. This ordinance before you for first reading at this time.
Proposed ordinance number 14010 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just
Yes.
a quick question. If we're going to eliminate the permitting process, which I understand, how do we know that they're only having 2 garage sales a year?
Nancy will answer that.
Good evening, Commissioners. Nancy Byrne, Development Director. We're going to use code compliance from the neighbors, people that are reporting the incidents happening on a more frequent basis. What we've found over time is the only people coming in to get the permits were the honest people. So really, they were being kind of penalized for coming in and following the process when people who are going to violate the ordinance are going to violate the ordinance. So we've left the regulations in, limiting it to 2 a year, and it's kind of a self-governing thing. Code has had a year of monitoring it as self-governing, and there have been no incidents of intensity.
Anybody else? Please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Proposed ordinance 14011 on first reading.
This ordinance 14-011, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Part 2, Chapter 15 of the City Code of Ordinances entitled Offenses Miscellaneous, Article 5, Aircraft Landing Regulations by creating a new section 15-72 entitled Model Aircraft Flying Devices and Helicopters Prohibited, providing for codification, conflict, severability, and effective date. This ordinance before you for first reading at this time.
Proposed ordinance 14011 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Will this ordinance prohibit using one of these?
Does it have a motor? Does
Estes rocket.
it have a motor?
It has a launcher, yeah. It goes up about 300 or 400 feet.
But I don't think it has a motor like a
Well, rockets are
helicopter
considered motors.
but it's
It's a flying device.
but it doesn't have a motor inside. It comes off of a launch pad. I
Well,
would say no.
That depends on your definition of motor.
Okay.
You're talking about a gas motor engine?
I'm just, as the ordinance is currently drafted, it refers to a motor. Motor, where is it? Hold on.
Well, rockets are considered motors.
But prohibited on city land.
Well, the
Yeah.
point is that people have been building these for 60 years, and this one I built with my nephew. And we launched it. We went over to Calusa Park one night and launched it a couple times. I had to pull it out of the tree a couple times. But the point is, would I be in violation in the future?
No, because that's a county park.
Split splitting hairs.
So
isn't
keep
it?
going there.
It's only a city ordinance.
City ordinance. City property.
Very good.
As it relates to the county, at least I can tell you in my research regarding this issue, the county only allows the flying of these type of basically radio-controlled airplanes or helicopters at 2 parks. And those 2 parks have specifically been designed to accommodate this kind of activity. And even within those parks, the only people who can actually fly these type of aircrafts are those who are insured members of the Academy of Model Aeronautics. When you do some research and you look up the Academy of Model Aeronautics, you find that they have a safety code. The safety code for radio-controlled devices, such as the ones that we've been talking about, specifically says that all pilots shall avoid flying directly over unprotected people, vessels, vehicles, or structures, and shall avoid endangering of life and property of others. The reason they do this is because if you go to a mall, for example, and you look at the little kiosk and you look at those little helicopters, you may wonder what could be the harm in that. But the point is that these types of aircrafts can range in size from a tiny little helicopter like what you may see in the mall to what some people may consider a flying lawnmower. From the standpoint that there have been cases where people have been hurt, seriously injured, and in one case even been killed by having these things land on them. Furthermore, when you look at the guidelines that the county uses, and basically what they do is they have a relationship with the Palm Beach Radio Control Association. And when you look at the guidelines that they have, which are consistent with the guidelines that you find with not only this particular area, but also throughout the nation where you have enthusiasts that enjoy this type of activity, there's a tremendous emphasis on safety, not only for the operator, but for the spectators, whereby all the research I've done, and again, this is research not only on websites like eBay, but research with various enthusiasts that deal with these type of, again, hobbies, you'll find that the one thing that they always emphasize is the operators have to have a high level of knowledge and skill in operating these things. Among the things that they emphasize is you have to have safety lines in which you have to ensure that people stand behind, that you have to be supervised, that you have to go through training. And in essence, to allow these kind of things to happen in an area where you don't have that type of supervision, that type of regulation, that type of buffering, you really are exposing the public to some degree of safety risk. So what I have found, again, through my research is that there are areas in the county that you can fly these things that are highly buffered, away from roadways, but even within those areas, the county has established basically a relationship with organizations that can, in some capacity, provide supervision and control in how these facilities are being used. Because, again, it may seem innocuous in terms of when you're looking at some little, again, the kind of things you may see at a mall, but even those type of flying objects can distract the driver, can land on somebody's head and hurt them, or cause other types of injury. And we can't regulate whether it's a small little helicopter or a flying lawnmower. We just don't have the resources to have people out there saying, yes, this helicopter is very small, the risk of injury is very, very small, or this helicopter is way too big and we can't allow this. And even if it's your neighbor, if your neighbor decides to go out there and get a little toy airplane and he decides to fly it, unless that operator is experienced, the chances are he's not going to just fly over his property. The chances are that he may encroach on his neighbor's property, fly over the neighbor's house. And what happens if he loses control? What happens if that operator isn't experienced enough or isn't trained enough? What happens if it was just a Christmas present that somebody got for their 12-year-old son? He's out back playing with this little radio-controlled helicopter, flies over the roof, and lands in somebody's yard. The point is, we can't regulate that with the resources that we have available. And I think the county has established a pretty strong precedent whereby if you want to enjoy this type of hobby, there's an appropriate place to do it. And that's why the county has established 2 areas within their inventory of parks that can do this. And one is in Del Rey. Granted, it's not right across the street, but it's about 15 miles away. And it's highly regulated. The Palm Beach Radio Control Association has a list of officers that include the safety coordinator, a training instructor, and unless you are a member of this group, of this association, you have to be a member in good standing with the Academy of Model Aeronautics. And the Academy of Model Aeronautics, from which you get the insurance that is required by the county to operate these type of aircrafts, requires that you abide by their safety code. Their safety code is very clear that they don't want you to fly these things over people's heads, over people's houses. I mean, there's a reason why they have this safety code. So we certainly don't want to be here telling people what not to enjoy, what could be a very enjoyable hobby. We just want people to do it safely. We do believe that there's a good, viable alternative that is available to residents of the county. And we just don't think that it's appropriate that they do it in an area that, again, could potentially cause a dangerous situation.
What initiated this ordinance? Where does this come from?
We received a complaint through our code compliance division, and they referred it to us, where we had a gentleman that was flying a radio-controlled helicopter at one of our undeveloped park sites, Nautica Sound. And in talking to this gentleman, he made clear that it was a very popular thing, not only for him, but for a lot of the neighborhood kids who like to come out and watch that. And that was one of the things that immediately created a sense of concern in my mind, because, again, if he's flying these helicopters and he loses control and hits somebody, now granted, he made clear that he was a very highly skilled, proficient operator of these things. And that's great if you are, but what if you're not? What if you allow that to happen, and again, and you're not qualified to
So
do
it's
it?
city initiated, what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Did the public wish to address this item? Thank you.
First reading, dude.
I know, I'm going to make an exception tonight.
Good evening. I prepared a statement. Mayor, Vice Mayor, city officials, and commission, my name is Michael Greenberg, and I am currently under contract to purchase the property located at 8864 Spring Valley Drive and expected to close in 9 days. I'm the father of 3 young children, a software engineer, a business owner which conducts 6 figures of gross business within the city of Boynton Beach, and an active community organizer which advocates the education of STEM disciplines in South Florida. I'm one of the producers of the Miami Mini Maker Fair, an event which celebrates the same and attracted several thousand attendees from all over Florida. I'm also the organizer of the South Florida Hack and Tell, a technology hobbyist group which runs regular events which teach others about technology topics such as how to program, how robots work, and most recently, building, designing, and using quadcopters and drones. I have 2 technical concerns to raise and 1 ethical. Number 1, your ordinance describes that the city will prohibit flying model aircraft, devices, and helicopters over city-owned property. However, your proposed amendment appears to be broader reaching and suggests that such prohibition will also extend to the launching, landing, or operating in, on, or over real property within the city jurisdictional boundaries. I interpret this to mean that I will be prohibited from holding such events as my aforementioned quadcopter workshop anywhere within the city, to include inside, on, or over privately owned property within the city-bounded real property or real estate. I believe this is misrepresentative and misleading in contrast to the intention of the opening whereas statements of the ordinance proposal and as described on the agenda. Number 2, while I have no legal reference at this time, it is my opinion that the city has no jurisdiction to prohibit the flight of any object, motor or otherwise, as this is handled by the Federal Aviation Administration. And 3, lastly, and most importantly, I'm gravely concerned about the broad-reaching wording of this ordinance. Concerns around the safety of such devices are legitimate, but it is my opinion that the solution provided herein is akin to prohibiting kites from being flown or baseball from being played for fear of injury, or more likely, a lacking application of common sense by parties involved. This reading comes a day before the President of the United States will declare June 18th a National Day of Making, a day intended to celebrate the exploration of engineering and science. Today, the United States, South Florida, and some communities here in Boynton Beach are vying for the respect and authority in the STEM for respect and authority in the STEM communities outside of our corner of the world. And it is my opinion that this ordinance will negatively impact organizations such as the South Florida Hack and Tell from sharing, engaging, and sparsely found learning experiences within the boundaries of the city for your constituents, those in my industry who are seeking to improve the city of Boynton Beach, as well as those communities nearby. As an engineer who has already invested in this community's growth, a Broward resident who is currently relocating his family under the jurisdiction of this commission, and a father who expects to be able to take his son to the park to fly homemade aircraft without needing to drive to another city, I'm both concerned about needing to reconsider my relocation plans and surprised that such a disingenuous ordinance is under consideration. I would be happy and willing to help the city craft a more reasonable ordinance, which can still satisfy the desires of all stakeholders, or at worst, hope the commission recognizes the dangerous wording of this ordinance and that they understand what message they are sending to myself, my industry colleagues, and others who we might try to attract to the city of Boynton Beach as their home. Part of the President's proclamation tomorrow will include the following words. Today, let us continue on the path of discovery, experimentation, and innovation that has been the hallmark not only of human progress, but also of our nation's progress. Today, let us unleash the imagination of our people, affirm that we are a nation of makers, and ensure that the next great technological revolution happens right here in America. If the Commission votes in favor of this ordinance without further consideration, your message will be discovery, experimentation, and innovation, just not in Boynton Beach. My question that I leave with you guys is to understand how many actual incidents have been reported in the last year. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the commission? Not, I'll return to commission.
Sure, I got some comments.
Go ahead.
All right, well, he took away a lot of my talking points. To me, something like this, as I pointed out, working with my nephew and stuff, this is a good way to learn stuff like torque and Bernoulli's equations and power-to-weight ratio. It's basically hands-on physics. And it's we want engineers in Boynton and in the world. And so this is the first step is you learn something and you do it, and then later on you go, oh, that's what they were talking about. I understand it now, a few years down the road. And the whole point of safety on this doesn't make sense to me. How are things handled now? It says, as Wally pointed out, somebody gets it for Christmas and goes out and flies it in the next door neighbor's window or something and crashes it. Well, how is it any different from now if a kid gets a football and goes out and throws it over the fence? And it breaks a window. How is that incident handled? I believe that should be the same way. And what's the person next door do? He's got two options, giving it back or deflating it. And the same thing on this. If he doesn't want the helicopter to go back, oops, steps on it and then hand it back, say it crashed. There's different ways of handling it. So I agree it's as written is too broad. And, if it's safety first, well, I'm willing to bet that letting dogs walk in 4 parks in Boynton is going to end up being a lot more dangerous, a lot more injuries than people getting knocked down by helicopters. And then I've been at Penn's Park on 5th Avenue. I've seen softballs leave there and hit cars on 4th Street driving by. The world didn't end. So I think this is way trying to solve a problem that doesn't really need it. To me, it's a lot like Bloomberg and his 32 ounces of McDonald's drink or something. That's a hazardous to your health too. So let's regulate important things before we start looking for things to regulate.
Mr. Costello?
I appreciate your concern of safety, but growing up as a kid, we did everything in the park, and we flew planes, we baseball, football, all the good things that you can do in a park. And I think Commissioner Fitzpatrick's model rocket here is a lot more dangerous than somebody with a little helicopter bought from a mall. So I think it is overreaching. Safety is a big issue, but I'm not that concerned about what could happen.
Mr. Merker.
I hear a lot of hypotheticals, and I hear the enjoyment of a sport. My question is to Wally, I think that's where I'm going to get my answer from, is you obviously have been pushing this because of issues that have been occurring. The question has come up several times is how many incidences has occurred, and simply to the point without an elongated monologue on something, you feel very strongly that this is dangerous, not just now, but for the future, for the children who will be in the park?
It's dangerous unless you do it in the proper location. I do
Okay,
believe
and
that.
you feel that this, what was written correctly, or do you think we should table it and possibly, I'll use the phrase, shorten some of the wording?
Based on the research that I've done, I feel that it's done correctly.
Okay, good, thank you.
Commissioner McCray?
Good.
Do you have anything?
I'm good. I don't have time to fly helicopters.
Okay. Well, I kind of go along with the Vice Mayor and Commissioner Fitzpatrick. All my life I grew up, I saw them, I've been around them when they were flying the little planes and stuff in my neighborhood and stuff, and I guess I saw them crash, but I never saw anybody get hurt. So I'm kind of don't know that there's a need for this, so I'm not really for it. But so anyway, did we make a motion?
I don't think so.
There's a motion, a second? Okay, then go ahead and call the roll.
Merker,
Let me, 10 more seconds in my mind, go pass me up.
Vote.
I will vote.
Said you-
I have to vote at this second?
Gray.
Hey,
What is the motion? The motion
The
is
motion was to approve. the
prove it,
amendment.
right? Yeah, so that was a nay from McCray.
I don't want it to.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick,
Nay.
Mayor Taylor,
Nay.
Vice Mayor Casello,
Nay.
Commissioner Merker.
I will vote yes for the sake of listening to our manager, Wally Majors. My question was answered by him, that his research is...
He voted yes.
I didn't finish.
Yeah, well, yeah, you did. We only need a
No.
yes or no. We didn't
That's
need-
kind of rude, isn't it?
No, it isn't. We
Yeah, it
had
is rude.
discussion. We had discussion.
I'm finishing.
But that's...
It's called
4 to
completing
1.
a sentence, like dotting the I and crossing the T.
4 to 1.
And it's also written down. So therefore, you to do that is incorrect.
Stand adjourned.
No.